Welcome back, my dear listeners. Hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving. And as we steamroll now into December, things are, going to be interesting because things just go by really fast this time of year. But last episode, which was actually a couple of weeks ago, I re-released the most popular podcast of the year, the 15 High Impact Digital Marketing Tips for 2023. And if you had listened to that, you realize that it's just part one. So this week, I have part two that I'm going to release to you. And again, it's just a continuation of some of the fundamentals that you have to get right, even heading into 2024. These are not time-dependent things necessarily. So I think there's some timeless tips that you could take into consideration as you think about 2024. I still do plan on doing a couple of episodes on marketing trends and what you need to be looking out for in 2024. But in the meantime, I wanted to just revisit this more popular episode, part two of 15 high impact digital marketing tips for 2023. So as it was one of the most popular downloads of 2023, we're resharing it with you so you can enjoy and just send me your feedback. Let's see, what changes you made, see what worked, see what didn't work for you in 23. Would love to maybe share some of my thoughts by email and stuff like that as well. So with that, let's get started. If you're a small business owner, a marketer in a company, or an entrepreneur, this podcast is for you. You'll become better educated and informed when it comes to digital marketing. And if you implement the strategies, tactics, and tools I discuss in this podcast, your business will grow and prosper. To subscribe, go to corneryourmarketpodcast.com. That again is corneryourmarketpodcast.com. You can also search for Corner Your Market in Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google Podcast, or wherever you get your podcast, and you can subscribe through those apps. Also, don't forget to like and share our individual episodes. You can also leave a review. Finally, I would love to hear from you, so if you have any questions, feedback, or general comments about the topics I discuss, feel free to send me an email. I will be sure to share and discuss your feedback on the air if it will benefit our listening audience. You can write to me at connect@corneryourmarketpodcast.com. Just put listener comment in the subject line. That email again is connect@corneryourmarketpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. I look forward to being back next week. Until then, be good and do good. Welcome to part two of the 15 high impact digital marketing tips for 2023. I'm glad you're back. In our previous episode, we talked about the first 7, so I'll give you a quick overview, but to get the details, you'll have to go back and listen to that episode. The 7 things that we talked about in our previous episode is identifying your core list of 15 keywords, installing the SEO plugins that is most relevant and useful to you, on-site SEO checkup, make sure your title tags, descriptions, H1 tags are all in place, on-site SEO copy checkup, and then both of these can be done with the SEO plugin, so it's not very high time-consuming affairs. The 5th thing that we talked about is claiming your Google My Business profile, claiming it and updating it, and also claiming all of the major directories, Apple, Facebook, Bing, Nextdoor, Yelp, and any of the ones that might be relevant to your business. And then the 7th thing we talked about is establishing a review strategy. How will you handle your reviews? How will you obtain your reviews? Where will you obtain those reviews and things like that? So those are the 7 that we talked about in our previous episode. In this episode, we want to continue on. And the 8th thing that I would say that's very high impact for your business is talking to your staff and your team members about questions that they receive from your customers. And the reason why I say that is those can be very, very useful for your blog and content strategy. So if your front desk person is constantly answering questions on a particular part of your product, then maybe you need to write some copy on that, put it on your website so that people can go to that and find it there and they don't have to call your front desk staff. And another reason why you want to talk to your staff and team members is a lot of the clients I've worked with over the years are medical, mostly dental and vets. And what I find is the hygienist or maybe the vet technician, when they're working on the pet or when they're working on the teeth for the dental hygienist, we'll get questions from patients. And a lot of times these are very, very useful patient questions that they will not ask the doctor or the the other person that they see. And so the business owner may not be aware of those, and the marketing person may not be aware of those. So getting those questions in some kind of a archive, and then addressing those questions by writing about it as a blog post can be very useful in addressing the questions and concerns that your audience has. And it also helps you rank on Google, because people ask questions on Google, right? They're going to go up on there and they're going to ask a question. And so when they ask that question and your answer comes up, then boom, there's a connection right there. So talk to your staff and team members about questions they receive from your customers. That's tip number 8. Tip number 9 is, based on those questions and also some ideas that you may have, develop a content publishing calendar for your website. And it's not that hard to do. What I would do is I would maybe make a list of all the topics that you could potentially write about. And then next to the topics, write the keywords that you think that you want to rank for based on that topic. And then, or do it the other way around. That works as well. Look at your keyword list and then see what topics would make sense based on those keyword lists, right? You could do it that way as well. I have people that do it both ways. And then what that does is that crystallizes for you maybe and helps you break down, this whole goal that you might have had over the years of publishing new content or creating new content for your business on your website, but you've never gotten around to it. So this one makes it very tangible, especially if you've already done the 15 keywords and you've already talked to your staff and team members. I think at that point, once you've done those two things, developing a content calendar shouldn't be too exhaustive. Do it for the next 6 months if you can. And then tip number 10 is try to publish 3 times a month. So that basically means you need to make sure that your content calendar that you created would have 3 blog posts per month. So if you're trying to do a 6-month calendar, you're looking at, 6 times 3, which is 18 topics, right? And let's say you basically have a couple of people on your staff that are pretty good writers, or maybe you have a contract writer you can bring on or something like that. Get the juices flowing, man. Get the writing done and schedule it away into WordPress. Maybe you have a great productive Friday and you generate, 24 pieces. Then go ahead and schedule those, and then you're on your way. 24 might be a lot, but you get the drift. But the other thing is, one of my tips was for you to use a plugin, right? So when you do go to when you do get to publish the content, put it into WordPress and then run the plugin, and then against the keywords and see what optimizations that you can make, right? So that can really help you get your content that you've just published to be optimized from the very get-go. So that's point number 10. So point number 8 was talking to your staff and team members about questions they received from your customers, common questions they receive. Point number 9 was developing a content publishing calendar. And then point number 10 was publishing new content 3 times a month and doing that consistently. The 11th point is analytics and Search Console. I've actually done a podcast on this already, so you can go back and listen to it if you want some more details. But visit analytics, visit your Search Console. If you don't have Search Console, make sure you create one and connect it to your analytics account and use the same Gmail address when you do those. Basically, you want to make sure that your analytics and your Search Console is connected and that you become familiar with it. So maybe your goal is, the 11th point is, make sure you have some understanding of what's happening on your website. Go back and listen to my previous episode on analytics if you need a little bit of tips on that. But that's a great way for you to get some insights on pages that are working, pages that are not working, contents that's working, keywords that driving traffic, keywords that not driving traffic. And then also make sure you have some conversions set up. Maybe it's very easy to do. You can Google these articles that show you how to set up phone call conversions, or page conversions, or form fill down, completion conversions and things like that. So get that set up, and that will just help you come to a quick understanding on a monthly basis of where you are in your marketing. And it's really wonderful to have that kind of done for you. So that's point number 11. And then point number 12 is 2023 is going to be a big year for Google Analytics because they are sunsetting Universal Analytics, and they are going to introduce and start everybody on GA4. So while it's January, it's a good idea to just make that switch, follow the instructions, Google an article or two on how to do it, implement it, get GA4 set up so that when the transition happens, I believe in July of 2023, you are ready and you're not going to lose data, you're not going to miss out on anything and all that kind of stuff. So that's point number 12. Now, point number 13, this is a little bit of a interesting one because you'll have to be creative on this one. Do a spot check on the website load time for your website, meaning how long does it take for your website to load? And checking on your phone or your desktop may not be ideal because you've been there before, so a lot of the content has already been cached. So do it on incognito mode. And it might not be a bad idea the next time you're at McDonald's or a coffee shop or something like that, use their Wi-Fi and do it there as well, just to kind of get a check for how you're doing on that. The key is when you hit the enter button to load your website, do a quick 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004 kind of count in your head. Make sure your site loads within 2 seconds on mobile, on desktop, wherever you are, whether it's at Starbucks, whether it's at McDonald's, whether it's on the road, whether you're, if you're on the highway and you're driving, well, not when you're driving, but when your spouse is driving or your friend is driving, do a check on your website and see how long it takes to load, because that's really a good indication of how strong your website is. And under 2 second load time is becoming the standard for high performing websites. So that's point number 13. And then based on what you find, if you don't load on 2 seconds, then there are tools out there that you can use to troubleshoot that. Maybe you have a website developer you can call, talk to them, see what pieces are missing. They can run some developer checks on the site to see what can be updated, what can be changed, and things like that. So check your website load time. The 14th high impact tip for 2023 is for you to do a design review of your website. And I know it's not necessarily a tip in the sense that you can do something, but you really need to assess your website from time to time. And especially if you haven't done it in a while, this would be a great time to do it. And the things that I would look for is, what do your first time visitors see when they get to your website? Take a fresh look at it. What do your existing clients need to see on there, right? What are they seeing and what do they need to see? And also maybe what are you trying to promote and are they seeing it? So that's the thing is people go to a homepage and they leave relatively fast if they don't see what they're looking for. So just take a real fresh look at the homepage. What do your first-time visitors see? Can they get the information that they need? Can they get to the pages? Are the menus intuitive? Are the page titles intuitive? Do the headlines make sense? Just do a quick review on the homepage design, on some of the design elements on your interior pages, and address them. It's only getting more competitive. So addressing these design issues could be a pretty big impact on your business because you're spending a lot of time on SEO, you're spending a lot of time on getting people to your website. And if the website's not doing the job that it needs to do, then you need to make a change, right? Because the conversion needs to happen on the website. The phone call needs to come, the form needs to be filled, the paper needs to be downloaded. That's the kind of stuff that you're wanting people to do. So you need to do that. Also, check the user experience on mobile. A lot of people don't do this. They'll look at the website on desktop, but they won't do a check on mobile, or vice versa. There are people that won't check on desktop. They'll only check on mobile. So make sure you check on mobile. And remember, it's not 1999, right? I mean, you have to be modern. Your design elements have to make sense. It needs to be intuitive. I mean, think about it. People born in the year 2000 are now going to be 23 this year. That means the kids coming out of college this year in 2023 were born around 9/11. Things have really moved on, right? So forget the millennials, man. Hey, I love millennials, but forget the millennials. But when it comes to design, you need to start thinking Gen Z. Gen Z, born between 96 and 2010. And the middle of that generation is now graduating college. So, and some of them have already been out of college for a while. So, they're going to be your consumers. They're going to start being moms, and they're going to start being dads. And so anyway, so look at the design from their perspective. Look at, what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, and things like that. And I get into a conversation with B2B people all the time on this. Maybe, well, ours is not a consumer industry, but let's think about it. Our website experiences and interactions are largely shaped by B2C experiences, right? What you see on Amazon, what you see on Apple's site, what you see on BuzzFeed, what you see on maybe, foxnews.com or what it is. It's shaped by that. So when we go to your B2B site, I mean, there's an expectation that your design is going to be clean. Your design is going to be intuitive. Your design is going to have all the elements that are important to me, and that your design will do the right thing, and that your design is intuitive and helpful and allows you to take the action that is needed. So anyway, I don't want to belabor this point too much, but design review for your website is 14. And then the final high impact, number 15, the final high impact digital marketing tip for 2023 is do a review of all of your social channels, right? I think there was a time when we all got on social media, we all opened accounts, we all put things out there. We opened a Twitter account, we opened a Facebook account, we opened, LinkedIn accounts, we opened all these MySpace accounts. Don't forget that. So anyway, there's accounts out there that are open. There are accounts out there that might be giving your user false information. There might be incorrect information, things like that. So do a review of all your social channels just from a content perspective. Close the channels that you are not using anymore. Close them, get rid of them. If you're not using it, you're not using it, man. If nothing's happened, nothing's happened. Your Twitter channel, if you haven't updated it since 2012, get rid of it. There's no reason to have it, right? So, and then the ones that do remain, do a little bit of an assessment of maybe how do you plan to interact in that channel this year? How are you going to, if let's say you decide to keep Instagram and Facebook, like, well, how am I going to interact in Facebook and Instagram, right? What is my strategy for it? But the biggest thing is your audience there? That's the crux of the matter at this point. Is your audience on these channels? And if your audience is on this channel, then craft a strategy to reach them, assign some budget, put some work together, and make that happen. If your audience is not in that channel, just let it go. There's too much to do in marketing. There's a lot of places that you could be putting your resources in and all that kind of stuff. No reason to feel sentimental about it. Just get rid of it. So the 15th and final tip for 2023 would be for you to review all of your social channels. So let's do a quick review of the 8 things that we covered today. In terms of the 8 things that we covered today, we said the first thing is talk to your staff and your team members about questions they receive from your customers and your clients. That helps you generate fresh content. The 9th thing is develop a content publishing calendar, right? Make sure that you have a plan. The 10th thing we talked about is publishing new content 3 times a month. Put it into your schedule, make it happen, make a plan for it, use the plugin so everything that you're publishing is completely optimized. The 11th thing that we talked about is analytics and Search Console. Make sure they're connected, make sure you have all the right parameters that you're trying to look at, get some ideas from it, make it a habit to review it on a regular basis. And then the 12th thing is prepare for GA4. Make sure that you've already got all that stuff set up. Find the articles that you need to read, or drop me a line if you need help, and then I can help you with that as well. Get the GA4 kind of set up. And then 13th would be check your website load time. Keep it under 2 seconds. It's very important for SEO. It's also important for your user experience. And then the 14th thing we talked about is doing a design review of your website. Make sure it is at 2023 levels or 2020 if you feel like, 2023 levels. The demographics has changed quite a bit. User experience is different. Just make sure that your website is on par with the audience that you're seeking. And then the 15th thing that we talked about is reviewing all of your social channels to make sure that what's working, get rid of the channels that you're not working on and things like that, and just doing a really good cleanse, so to speak, of all of your social channels. And that pretty much wraps up the 15 things. I covered the first 7 in the first part, and then I covered the 8 in this part. So that's how it comes up with 15. Listen to the first part if you need to. But I think if you implement these 15 tips, one a day perhaps for the next 15 days, then by the end of January, you will have a great place to start, a great starting point for 2023. And do plan on doing a similar review, listening to some of these elements, listening to these podcasts, and also listening to these elements and trying to revisit these elements maybe every year, maybe every 6 months, but do it on a regular basis that makes sense for you. So with that, I leave you and I say happy marketing. If you're a small business owner, a marketer in a company, or an entrepreneur, this podcast is for you. You'll become better educated and informed when it comes to digital marketing. And if you implement the strategies, tactics, and tools I discuss in this podcast, your business will grow and prosper. To subscribe, go to corneryourmarketpodcast.com. That again is corneryourmarketpodcast.com. You can also search for Corner Your Market in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast, and you can subscribe through those apps. Also, don't forget to like and share our individual episodes. You can also leave a review. Finally, I would love to hear from you, so if you have any questions, feedback, or general comments about the topics I discuss, feel free to send me an email. I will be sure to share and discuss your feedback on the air if it will benefit our listening audience. You can write to me at connect@corneryourmarketpodcast.com. Just put listener comment in the subject line. That email again is connect@corneryourmarketpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. I look forward to being back next week. Until then, be good and do good.